the first thing I want to say right now, thanks to everyone who pulled up. My name's Adu-Poku, the founder of the Reach series. And one event I just really wanted to bring, especially in the pandemic, was this idea of Hoopers Talk. My business revolves around helping people see worth in themselves and helping to find themselves outside of, the court, outside of what they do. And this is why I felt like an event like this is something that's well needed. And I know a lot of us are really used to Zoom calls right now, so I'm really happy y'all thought this was one worth pulling up to. And there's no other way to say it. Y'all came for some really amazing panelists to check out some really, just good content, good discussions. So I'm just ready to jump right into it. But before we start, as Hoopers, as a basketball community, I think we should take about, 5 seconds for Nate Robinson. I don't know. I don't know who fight yesterday. Twitter is going crazy.
Oh man,
he's one of us.
Hood 3-piece combo. Oh my goodness.
Oh
man.
We're trying to go upright, down left. But before we start, one thing I wanted to do is go through a couple housekeeping rules just to make sure things are smooth. One thing, like I already said, as you're looking at this panel and seeing us, engaging with the panelists, I'd ask that, you stay muted for the time being, but we do encourage you to keep your video on just to stay a bit engaged. I can't count the times in class when I turn off my video and I just know, all right, I'm going to my bed, like I'm not even listening to this. So, I'd encourage y'all, if you feel comfortable, any profanity or just crossing some lines of disrespect won't be tolerated. I know this is a safe space, but if I feel anyone's doing things that just, really impede on someone's, basic sense of comfort, I won't hesitate to remove you, maybe speak to you after. The third point, we will prompt on the chat just so everyone can stay engaged. We'll ask a couple different questions. We'll, try and get your thoughts on things that are going on as we're speaking, just so you don't feel like you're listening and not really interacting. The fourth one is, we got some cool panelists and moderators, also some fly guys. I've been getting to know them through hooping, even through some practice sessions. And we've all agreed, throughout this panel, bless you, I don't know if someone just sneezed or that was, but it's all good. But if any of you, have a question that you want to ask any of the panelists, like even privately or like even me, the moderators, or just anyone, feel free to do that, because that's really just the space we're trying to have, just conversation, just dialogue, just connecting with people. So that's one thing I'd really encourage. And then just one last thing that I could say is, for some of the questions, we'll gear them towards two of our panelists to answer, but we'll also give the opportunity for the panelists that don't have the specific spotlight to either, give an answer in the chat, or just, if there's time allocated because we're on a schedule, they could get their words out and everything. But I feel like I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna just open the floor right now to Brando and Tristan, because they're, I got the dry part out the way, but they're gonna get it popping. So without further ado, I'm gonna leave it to y'all.
Yeah, man. So once again, like Quincy said, thank you guys for coming on. It's gonna be a great event, great night. Just to really just get us started, we're just gonna get ready with some icebreakers, just so you guys can connect with us a little bit further and get a better idea of like who's gonna be running the event, as well as like who's gonna be speaking on it. So I'll begin just to say my name, my program, and then like something you guys might not know about me and what school I go to as well. So I'm sure you guys can see it in my name thing right there, but my name is Brandon Bernard. I'm a third-year guard at McMaster University. I'm currently studying communication studies, and something that like I feel like you guys don't really know about me is that I love reading books, and I'm also a huge anime fan. So that's something you guys know about me now. So I'll pass it over to Tristan, and I'll follow through.
So hey guys, what's up? Tristan Lindo here. Obviously just like Brandon, I'm a third-year guard at McMaster, communication student as well. And a couple of things you guys didn't know about me is I started investing in the stock market. So if any of you guys want to have a conversation about that, we can talk about that. I game a little bit too, so hit me on the PSN if you guys run the 2K, whatever you guys run GTA, I can run that with you guys. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna give it off to Kwesi now so he can give you guys a little bit of insight on himself.
All right, guys. As you know, my name's Kwesi, founder of the Reach series. I played at McMaster for about 5 years. Something people don't know about me is off the court, I've been an academic All-Canadian like each year I've been here. I'm a real big anime fan. I'm wearing a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure shirt. For those of you who don't know that. And people are still signing up, so I'm slightly stressed. And I invest a lot too. Electric car charging stations are possibly the wave. Just had to let y'all know. But right now I'm gonna pass it off to Dave, so you could say a 1-2.
What's up, guys? I'm David McCulloch, born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario. I played for 5 years at McMaster and graduated with a degree in kinesiology. Played a year professionally in Spain and was over there for a bit this year, but decided to come home for a variety of reasons. And I love nature documentaries. That's like the number one thing that I've been watching lately. So I'm super interested in that kind of stuff. And I'll pass it on to Kemel.
You're muted, fam. You're muted.
That's the Zoom.
Sorry about that. I forgot about that. I'm Kemel Archer from Brampton, Ontario. I'm a recent Wilfrid Laurier graduate. I graduated in sociology. And currently I'm playing professional basketball in Spain. And one thing you don't know about me is I love R&B music and I love Olympic weightlifting. And I'm going to pass it to Omar.
What's good, y'all? My name is Omar Shiddo. I'm a fifth-year guard at Western University. I'm from Brampton, Ontario. And interesting fact about me is that I'm a huge Chelsea fan, and I watch a lot of soccer. And I'm going to pass it to Kadre. What's going on, everyone? My name is Kadre Gray. Graduated from Laurentian University after 4 years. Got a major in health promotion. I've been thinking about this all day. It always changes, but one thing y'all probably don't know about me is, I aspire to be a doctor. That's something that I heavily look into, and that leads to my other point. My favorite show, if any of y'all know, is House. I'll lob it back to Kwesi. Or Brandon, if you're going to take it.
Yeah, sure. I'll pick it up. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. I mean, and if anybody knows Kadre, you'd never think that he'd be wanting to do that because, you guys know the resume, but. So actually, we're just going to jump right into the first question for all the panelists, really. Seeing as the pandemic has been something that has been really big on all of us as athletes, especially in the OUA or wherever you might be playing. It's pretty much the reason why we're running this event, if not the biggest reason. But just wanted to really get into it, starting with Dave, really. How have you been handling some of the changes that this pandemic has brought, both mentally and physically as an athlete?
So like everybody, it's obviously been a crazy period, super stressful. Obviously being isolated in quarantine and being away from your loved ones and your friends has been tough. And obviously the big change in routine, right? Everybody here is probably either playing in high school or in university, and you got your routine of basketball every day and school every day. And that kind of just all got shut down really abruptly. And that change was stressful. But, for me, after a while, obviously it took a while, but it was a really good opportunity to look at other purposes and look at other passions in my life, right? Basketball is going to end eventually one day for everybody. And it really gave me an opportunity to look at what I want to do after, which I didn't really do when I was playing in university and when I was playing professionally. And so for me personally, looked into some postgraduate programs, looked into different other jobs that I could get into. Same with the other guys looking into investing and stuff. Always got to make money, but it's been tough. And physically, of course, not being able to go to the gyms, and now it's getting cold outside, so it's tough to get outside and do that stuff. But being able to work out and trying to find creative ways to do that stuff has been really helpful.
For real. So would you say that for your professional career and just dealing with everything in COVID, would you say that having it hit played a role in you not really wanting to potentially pursue it anymore, or no?
Definitely, 100%. I don't like to put the blame on it, but it did have a huge impact because at the time during the summer, you kind of didn't know if there was going to be a season. Like it's Spain, where I was, Spain, and where I signed to go was hit really hard. They haven't handled the pandemic well at all. And so kind of in the back of your mind, like, oh, if there is no basketball, what am I going to do? So you start looking into different things to do in September. And like I said, postgraduate programs. Decided to go and just did not have a great experience. It was a mess, a lot of stuff going on. And so I decided to come home, and it was the best decision I made. It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life, but easily the best. I've been in a really good space mentally, and figured some other things out that I want to do after. So, but definitely the pandemic was a huge factor in that.
For sure. Yeah, thank you for that, man. Moving on to Omar. How would you like to answer that question, brother? Like, how's the pandemic really had its effect on you?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I think it forced you to look at general aspects of yourself more so than ever. The world suddenly stopped moving when it came to life the way we knew it. At first, it was like cool. Now I get the opportunity to like do things that I couldn't do as being a student athlete. I started the game, started to like binge watching things, and then I realized quickly, like after like a few weeks, like this is not me. I need to start like working on myself and doing things of that nature. So I started to pick up. I started doing yoga. Started to eat better. I started working out. The weather started to get better, so I even started doing some dryland training and things of that nature. And then I started to learn more things about myself and try to learn. I feel like we have the competition of learning through school only, and so I started to do my own research on the side, figure things out. Just like Dave said about yourself, what would you do if basketball were to stop and you couldn't play no more, which you didn't think about before because it was always plan A. And so yeah, for sure.
So you still have one more year of eligibility, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So does COVID really change like if you want to go back into school, or do you still think you want to do it, or no? Like you just think you're just gonna knock it off, or?
Yeah, so I have aspirations of playing like pro basketball. So I feel like it was tough for me because I had the opportunity to kind of graduate this year. I still don't make a total decision yet, so I still think I'm still weighing my options, but I'm probably leaning more towards coming back and playing my final year next year.
Okay, for real. All right, thank you for that, brother. Moving on to Kadre next. How have you been dealing with the pandemic, man?
Oh man, the pandemic's been crazy, man. I really think just looking back to when it started, it was super crazy. We were all looking at each other like, you got COVID, I got COVID, like what's really going on right now? And just kind of, the world was just in shock at that moment. And I think I've been very blessed being in Sudbury where cases haven't been so crazy. I've been able to go still do my thing. Training changed, we didn't have access to the gym, but still got an opportunity to go do dryland training. And just kind of rechanging the narrative in my head of the pandemic itself. And just saying that, like, really, like, even though the situation is bad, how I control it, how I perceive it in my mind is a huge thing. And I think for me, like, Dave and Omar, hit it on the point, like, really start thinking about other things as well. One of my interests before I even got to university was like, the route of becoming a doctor and going to medical school. So that was something that I was able to look into to another level. And then I got more interested in, sure enough, I ended up putting my application in for that. So I think just like the other guys, like, it was shocking at first, but I feel like we have a big part in how we perceive it. But it hurts to not see friends and families like you want to, but, we got to do our best. We got to support each other. We got to have these dialogues. We check on our mental health and, take care of one another, man, for sure.
For sure. So I know with COVID and some of the extra time that has come about, like you've had some more time to look into like the ULU. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, I'm rocking the shirt right now. I'm rocking the shirt, Ulu. Yeah, so it's an organization we started 2 years ago. Hedia, Lita, a teammate and assistant coach of mine. And we've just been working on this organization, really an organization to talk about, Black history, systemic racism, all those numbers of topics. And it's been really huge this summer. And despite, the tragic death of George Floyd. So it's really been something that's been picking up. And we've been having these conversations with a number of organizations to really help, talk about what allyship looks like. I think, for many organizations, they're looking at these incidents that are happening in the United States, but they think they don't happen in Canada. and we're saying yes, it does happen. There's a lot of microaggressions that happen. So we're bringing the conversations up here, and we're just hoping that that continues to grow and we continue to have a better understanding of one another.
For sure, that's amazing. I'd love to get involved, but I'm sure we can talk about that.
Wait, I hit you up another time, brother.
Got you. Moving on to Kemel, last but definitely not least. How have you been dealing with it, fam? Oh, you're muted again, brother. You're muted again.
Zoom special.
Keep on doing this, but just like everyone else, COVID just put a pause on all of our plans and stuff. But for me, I'm a kind of person like I don't know how to like sit still. I'm always trying to be working and doing things. So kind of gave me an opportunity to work, make some income. Most programs, like you guys know, are usually like 12, 11, 10 months out of the year. We don't really have time set aside to make money, do other things. So I was working a lot, and then I wanted to further my financial literacy. I was reading a lot of books, looking into investing, just little things that I wouldn't usually do if we're playing basketball. So I think COVID was like, it was something that made everyone take a step back and then just realize that I might have to start thinking about other things. And I think it was a bad thing that happened, but like a good thing for perspective wise.
For sure. So I know this is your first year playing pro, and like with dealing with COVID, especially being in a hotspot in Spain, like how has that been, just dealing with like the culture shock of like being in Spain, away from family, with also having to do with COVID? Like how have you been dealing with that?
It's a lot of pauses. Like one week you could be playing, and then the next week you're not playing. Like every week we do a weekly COVID test. So if your team tests positive or the other team tests positive, you basically can't play your game. It's a lot of just stoppage, just like same thing that's going on with Canada. Just you can eat outside, but you can't eat inside. Like a lot of things we don't understand. But honestly, I've just been trying to keep it positive. I've been doing a lot of stuff. Like I have a podcast with a couple of my teammates that I started. So honestly, I've just been taking a positive route and not letting COVID like impact me.
That's fantastic, brother. That's fantastic. Well, thank you guys for getting that question out of the way, because I'm sure a lot of people are trying to figure out different ways to deal with the pandemic, stay engaged in whatever it is they might be doing. But I'm passing it over to Tristan. We'll get into that next one. Thank you.
All right, and obviously with the last segment, Brandon and all the panelists talked about, we all know that COVID brought a lot of challenges, brought adversity. People didn't get to work. People couldn't do things they loved. They couldn't see family. So we know that COVID brought a lot of challenges and adversity to people's lives. So now I'm just going to transition over to the next question that I'll have for the panelists, Kemel and Omar. And right now I'm going to ask them about like adversity and challenges they faced on the basketball side. So right now I want to ask, I'm going to start with Omar. I'm going to ask you, what's a challenge, a big challenge and a learning experience that you faced in your career?
Yeah, so just like majority of the panelists here and maybe high school people playing high school basketball, my aspirations as a high school basketball player was to play Division I basketball. And in my last year of high school, I decided to go to prep school where it looked like a good situation. And my experience there wasn't so pleasant. It was frustrating to say the least. And I ended up coming back that year with no offers to play Division I basketball. And I was really in a dark place. I felt a great sense of failure for it. And for a few months, I kind of fell out of love with the game that summer. And every time I was around it, I was reminded of my shortcomings. But then eventually I just stopped feeling sorry for myself and decided to, pick myself back up. And I still had a few schools looking at me in Canada. And I decided to play. Me and my family decided for me to go to Western University. And yeah, man, it was a great decision. And I was quickly reminded of why I decided to play basketball.
I hear that. That's a great story, man. And a lot of people can relate to that. You know what I mean? For a lot of people, the real route they want is D1. It doesn't always happen. And everyone's path is different. Everyone's path works differently. So, I mean, you're still going to get to where you were trying to get to, which is professional. So, but I was curious as to, like, what made you choose Western? Was it environment? Was it, like, coaching staff, teammates? Like, what made you think, like, okay, I'm going to go here and not anywhere else?
Yeah, so Coach Brad Campbell was recruiting me from like grade 10 to grade 11. And so I already had a relationship with him. Also, I wasn't too far from home. It was a great academic school. And yeah, man, it just felt right. And I knew I was gonna have a good role coming into the program. And I had a couple friends going to the school as well. Yeah, the stars aligned.
And no, I hear that for sure. And I mean, you guys pulled off like a pretty big, what word should I use? You guys did very well this year. That's what I'm trying to say. So, I mean, a lot of people didn't expect you guys to get to where you guys got to, and you guys did. You guys made, history doing what you guys are doing. So, internationals. So, thank you for that. And I'm gonna pass off to Kemel so you can answer this question. What's the biggest challenge you probably faced and got through throughout your basketball career?
Well, just like everyone else, I faced my share of struggles and ups and downs during my career. I'm what people call like a journeyman. It took me 3 schools to find a home and an opportunity to prove myself. At my first school, I essentially came in as a walk-in red shirt, and generally red shirts are someone who practices with the team, gets team access, team room access, skill trains with coaches, but none of these things happened for me, and I was essentially not part of the team. So I was just a student, and I was basically on my own. And it was a hard time for me mentally, and I questioned myself if I was built for this level. And it's funny because the coach told my mom I couldn't compete at this level, and I am a YMCA player. Probably one of the biggest jabs that I've heard. And I was like a raw player with like a lot of heart, and probably the best rebounder on the team at that time. All I needed was some skill training and someone to believe in me. But basically everything that the coach said, it kind of fueled me that year. And I just fell in love with like training. Like I fell in love with weightlifting. I gained 20 pounds that year. I was doing all kinds of diets, man. I was drinking gallons of liters of milk a week. My roommates would tell you it's funny. And just basically I already had a tough work ethic, but like I kind of elevated myself. And I feel like when you get down to that really like that bottom, you really show yourself what you can really do. And like long story short, I fast forward to transferring to Laurier, where I got a coach that believed in me. I ended up being 4th all time at Laurier and rebounding in 3 seasons, having a good career and good memories, starting something at that school. And it was just a lesson for me really that basketball isn't the end of everything. My coach, Coach Justin, always says, we aren't playing basketball, we're playing the game of life. And honestly, at first it was a cliche and I was getting tired of hearing it. But towards the end of my career, just sitting back and reminiscing, it kind of all made sense that everything like we do in this game of basketball really helps us play a bigger game. Like any obstacle we face in our life is just molding us, basically. Any obstacle we face in our career, everything's just molding us for bigger issues that we're gonna have bigger problems in life, that things that really matter, you know?
I definitely agree with that, man. Anyone knows, and you don't have to be a basketball player, you know what I mean? It goes across all sports. Having that team environment and being able to deal with stuff individually and as a team, it just helps you in your future, in your career, or whatever you're gonna do in life. So I agree with that. And I just want to ask you, so the adversity you faced throughout this whole process and the ups and downs of being cut and being called a YMCA player and having a fight to get to Laurier and now playing pro, like how do you think this whole course has helped you become the person you are today?
Honestly, I think it's like the staple of the person I am. If so, knowing from playing me, you guys know I'm just a player. I just work hard. I just have that work ethic and that hunger when I'm on the court, and it kind of shaped me. And that was basically my identity. And I just basically stuck to that. And honestly, like all of us, we can really work hard and stuff, but that doesn't mean we're gonna go basically where we want to. Like at some point you need some luck. Like I feel like I got lucky getting put in a situation at Laurier. I know there's probably better players who didn't have the right situation, who could have had better careers. So even if you do work hard, like you might not get to where you want, but there's always a bigger lesson to be learned in all of that, you know?
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. And thank you for that. And I'm gonna just stretch this question out and I'll stretch my hand to Kadre and let him know, like, I want to ask him, what's a big challenge he's faced in his career? How do you get through it?
Big challenge for me. honestly, I would say like I don't want to put one particular issue or one particular scenario, but I would just group my whole 4 years as a learning curve. You know, like for some of us, you know, you go through 4 years, you go through a completely different team by the time you're done. I'm trying to re-establish relationships, you know, chemistry on the court and off the court because that stuff at the end of the day it leads to on the court. So it's all a journey. I think that's the one thing that I've learned throughout all of that is because you know you can never get complacent because the moment you get complacent is the moment you get hit in the head and you're like, hey, I gotta wake up right now. So I think for me, it's just really been about learning from every scenario, learning from every experience, every relationship that I've had with you know any of the guys with my team on or off the court. How to be a better support for one another. So you know, just put it all in like one big picture. Honestly, the hardest conversations is the ones that you know you get hit in the face. Those are the best ones because you learn and you get better from those ones. So that's it for me.
I definitely get that. And that's great. That's something great for all the viewers to take from this conversation is just pick something up and take some knowledge from every situation you go through for sure. And I'm going to ask Dave, well, how do you feel about this question? What's a big challenge and learning experience you've had during your basketball career?
Oh, just away from the college part, I guess my most recent one was transitioning to my first year playing pro, and just a huge change, right? I've been a homebody for my entire life, born and raised in Hamilton, like I said, stayed home, played at Max for 5 years, so never really left. Obviously, went on a couple vacations here and there, and been out of the country, but never for an extended period of time. And so going over to Spain obviously was super exciting, but you get there and it just hits you in the face, the culture shock. Like people are speaking a different language. The basketball is different. The systems are different. It's nuts and it takes some time. And I was lucky enough to have a couple like American guys on my team that have been around and played professionally for a couple of years and they kind of knew what the deal was and all that stuff. But like I said, it's super tough. And you got like you're playing and you got a coach screaming in your face and you don't understand a word he's saying. So you have no idea what you're supposed to do when you get on the court. And you go out there and you try to, you know what I mean? You try to do what you did in practice, but you don't really know what adjustments to make on the fly, right? But it's like I said, it's good. And learning to adapt to such a vast difference of a situation translates to a lot of things in life. It translates to, like right now, I'm changing from being a basketball player now going into the workplace. And that's a huge transition. And being able to adapt to different situations and stuff like that is always a good asset to have. And that was the big thing that I did when I went over and played in Spain.
I definitely hear that. And I was just curious. So like when you went over there, like just as far as the basketball goes, how was like the practice environment, playing games? How was that? I'm sure it was much different from university basketball that you were playing.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can't speak on other countries, but Spanish culture is really laid back, and so you get to the practices and dudes are, you know what I mean. Sometimes they'll come in a couple minutes before practice and they'll be saying what's up and they'll have these conversations. And coach is always coming in with a coffee or something like that. They drink coffee 9 times a day. They're doing all this stuff. And but the practice, my first year, I was lucky. The practices were a competitive environment. We had a bunch of super young guys that were really trying to like establish themselves in Spain and in professional basketball. So our practices were super competitive. Our coach was extremely energetic and yelling all the time and trying to get guys to play hard and all that stuff. But the basketball was good. It's a lot of ball movement and it's a lot of, you know what I mean, over dribbling, especially they already have that preconceived notion that if you come from North America, you're going to over dribble. So even if you don't, they're going to tell you to stop dribbling and they're going to do all that stuff. So it was a big adjustment, but it was good. And it's some good competition and learned a lot when I was over there and got better as a player when I was over there. Yeah.
For sure. I definitely understand that, man. Playing professional will teach you a lot for sure. So yeah, man, thank you all you guys for answering these questions. And Kwesi, I'm gonna give it to you so you can start them off with the payoff.
Yeah, to be honest, just with what everyone said, I feel like this question is a nice transition just because, this is a big reason we're here. All of you are some amazing athletes that have accomplished a lot. And through your adversity, through your experiences, you've seen payoff in some way, shape, or form. So this question is going to be directed towards Kadre and Dave, but, the way time's moving, everyone's definitely going to have a time to answer. But I just want to ask, I'll start with Kadre. You're both very accomplished individuals. So I'm just wondering, based on your, 4 or 5 year experience, you know, what's one of your favorite experiences or payoffs in your career? You know, whether it was big, whether it was small, but just what was a moment that really made you think, you know what, this is all the hard times, you know, this right now, this made it worth it.
Wow, gotta dig deep into the bag for this one. No, I think honestly, in my first year, I was rookie of the year that first year, and it was honestly an eye opener to like what I think I can do at this next level. And I think for me, it was really just honestly, I've always been in the gym. That's something that I just like. It comes second to me. Like I wake up and I just want to go to the gym, and you know, Sean knows. Sean's in here in the group chat. Like we put an endless amount of work in the gym, and you know, big shout out to him who's you know poured a lot of effort into me, and ultimately you know giving me that green light to just you know get better endlessly. But I think honestly, putting my 4 years into a package, I think everybody's so caught up in the basketball aspect. And I think for me, one thing that I'm super proud of, one of my biggest things that I'll hold is like being an all academic Canadian 2 times. I think that's just a piece that everybody's so focused on basketball and not worried about the classroom, and to do that in the classroom while doing that on the court, it was just one of those things where for me personally, I held that deep to my heart that like I'm more than just an athlete, you know what I mean? And you know that's we always grew up kind of hearing from our coaches like, you're a student athlete, but you know we kind of just ignored like the student. But you know for that piece for me it was big, because just to really have that be called for an academic piece, it was huge for me. So I really hold that dear to my heart. And I think for my community growing up where I come from, academics is not a huge thing. So that's why I hold that dear to my heart, because I want to help the youth in my community growing up, to show them like you're going to be exceptional in basketball because you guys all play out here for X amount of hours a day, but let's talk about this other piece too that you can be exceptional in as well. So that was a big piece for me.
And that's just amazing to hear, because like I said, all of us have seen the success on the court. A lot of us have played in Laurentian. You hit a tray, you start doing this, and all mans are cheese because we're down 2 or whatever. But behind that, there's someone with their own story and their own triumph. So I'm happy to hear that. I just wanted to ask one thing, just to really go a bit deeper. I remember, like, even my brother's here, this guy named, Nena, shout out Nena, York Alumni. He recently won something, called the Toronto Community Housing, Scholarship, just investing in diversity and finding ways to help, the next generation make an impact. So when I think about you, you had the basketball success, you're making moves off the court too. And, when you think back to your community, where you came from and just everything you've, overcome to just even get to that spot, why do you think it's really important, to just pay tribute to your roots?
I think it's huge, because like you can never forget where you came from. That's what built you. That's why you're the person that you are. So it's like for me, especially, a ton of guys in my neighborhood growing up, some of which like I think were straight up better than me. Like they used to kick me, like they were beating me up on the court. And I didn't get them. They didn't get that same opportunity that I got to go off to university, to go off to college, whatever it may be, and have an opportunity to excel as well. So I think it's just huge, because all these youth that we see growing up, like it's so sad that when you see potential go wasted, and it doesn't go down the right stream. So for me, to pay tribute to my neighborhood, to my community, to show them like, I'm a figure, and to be a role model, that's a huge thing. And I really want to show the kids that like you can be amazing. You know what I mean? Like I never thought going into youth sports that I could be rookie of the year, I could be an MVP. So I just want to be a representation that anything is possible. You just gotta have faith.
And I hear that. It all just really comes back down to just believing in yourself, believing in your journey, and just convincing yourself you're here for a reason. And basketball is just one of those tools that helps you to define and, further exemplify that. So, kudos to you. And, right now I'm a little transition, a little overhand crossover to Dave here. Yeah, that pun wasn't the best still, but we're keeping it pushing. I've known you since, 2016. You're a team leader. You're someone I'd see in the gym for hours, and I just, saw this payoff in you. But, I want the people to really know, what's a moment that you could really say, like it's all coming together. Like, what was your payoff for you?
So I can't really give you an exact moment, but like unlike Kadre, like I wasn't nearly as good as Kadre coming into university. So I came in and like, you know what I mean? I'm maybe ninth, 10th man on the team. Usually like most people playing university, you're probably one of the better players on your high school team. So I get to university and you kind of get shoved back, right? You get shoved to the end of the bench and it's, you come in, don't make a mistake, or you come back out. And so always been a hard worker, but it's really easy to stop working when you're in the gym for however many long, you put how many shots up, and then you go to a game and you come on the court and you take a shot and you miss, and then you get pulled out. And it's really easy to get that confidence dwindling down little by little by little. But staying consistent and having good people in your corner to tell you that it's going to pay off eventually, and to stay working. And then like, especially even my second year was probably my worst year of my university career. And it was like, I was working hard, but that confidence is getting, it's going down. Like I'm still on a good team. I'm still not playing that much. I think I should be playing more, but I'm not playing that much. And then that payoff kind of comes when I get to my third year and I start getting a lot of minutes. It's like, okay, now all those shots I'm putting up, all that work I'm putting up in the gym by myself and with coaches and stuff like that, now it's starting to pay off. Now all those reps that I'm doing, I can actually take in games. All those risks that I want to do, but I'm scared to do my first couple of years. Now I can do them and maybe, have a longer leash and be able to make some mistakes. And that's the big payoff. I could have easily in my first year been like, all right, this is for me. You know what I mean? My second year been like, yeah, I'm not good enough. But being able to work for a couple of years, which is a long time, and like pay off in those last 3 years, that's probably the biggest thing for me.
That's amazing to hear because like I said, I know I met you in my third year, but I could even just see that work ethic from then and you like in some way, shape or form, like this is going to manifest itself. So I just really want to ask you another question, because I guess I'm thinking more about your like ball experiences because I just, I saw the payoff, but from your third year to your fourth year, and PT came in, the team environment kind of changed and he was really just trying to change up the culture. You went from a player who was contributing, just next thing you know, coach is telling you fourth quarter, like, we're not passing to no one but Davey's going for 40, and you end up the season at All-Star. So I'm wondering, could you talk a bit to that payoff and how you felt in that moment and maybe some advice for players watching here just to know about, how they could stick with it?
Yeah, so that was a very big transition from my third year to my fourth year, right? Like, it obviously changing coaches, completely flipping the culture of the team, flipping the personnel. So it was obviously a huge transition and a huge adjustment, but being able and giving that leash to be able to do what I want and giving that push, like, yo, you got to be aggressive. I've never been a person to go out and try to score, but given that like ultimate confidence from your team and from your coaches to be like, all right, this is what you got to do, be aggressive, put all that work that you've been put in, now you can display it. And it feels good. It's a huge, it's a huge confidence booster, but it takes time, right? It took me 3 whole years to be able to get that opportunity and that privilege to play the way I did. And like I said before, like it's a long process, but you got to stick with it. And it's going to be a lot of like huge bumps in the road where you're not going to feel confident. You're not going to feel like you're good enough, but all that work is going to pay off eventually. It might not pay off in playing 36 minutes a game, but it's going to pay off with coach's confidence in you. It's going to pay off with your teammates' confidence in you. And like I said, yeah, like it was a crazy transition, but it paid off, and it was a fun year. That fourth year was fun.
Yeah, I just remember. I don't know who like tuned into those games, but like we also had a teammate, a guy named Miles Seward and everything. They're the backcourt. Miles trigger happy, Dave's just getting his buckets. So that was a lot of payout right there. Miles, he had the little bow out trigger. I forgot y'all know the movie I'm talking about. Still, he was on one. But right now we have some time, so I just really want to extend this to between Kemel and Omar, like whichever one of you wants to go first. Like if any of you could speak to payout and everything, because when I think to Kemel, you just really your adversity to turning that into being a pro, because that's the dream, and you fought your way for it. So if any of you want to speak right now, by all means.
Honestly, playing pro basketball wasn't really in my head like that in a serious like thought. Like we all go to university, go, oh, I want to play professional basketball, this and that. But it's only till probably like my third, fourth year where I started thinking, oh, maybe I can play professional. And then I just took the steps necessary. But honestly, the payoff for me might be like the leadership aspect of it. Basically, I was one of the captains at Laurier, and I'm a 95, so all my teammates are like a 97, 98, 99. They're all like young boys, so we're always trying to talk to them. I feel like I'm a dad with them. I'm always in the group chat talking to myself, literally sending messages, talking to myself. Nobody's answering. And then the biggest payoff actually came like on my senior night, and when I graduated, I moved away from the school. I was getting personal messages from all my teammates, and they were telling me like the impact and all these lessons that I was talking to them about that I thought like they weren't actually taking in. They were actually talking to me about it and telling me, and it really made me happy as a person, knowing that to me that was like my payoff, like helping them, because when I was playing, I didn't really have any leaders that I could really go to. So like just to impact them in that way, I felt really good about that. And I know that they're going to take those lessons and then use them themselves.
That's just amazing, because when I think about, your thought process there, I'm not sure if anyone like watching can relate, but Kemel, I'm assuming you're the kind of person that, you really love using your adversity to help uplift others, so that, they might not necessarily have to go through the same struggles that, you've had to fight your way through.
Yeah, that's just it. Like there would be situations, well, we always have like, I'll just say a random like scenario. We'll have a guy that, he doesn't understand like why he's playing this and that. And I go break it down. Like I'll tell him, yo, you're not doing what the scout's supposed to be saying, this and that. That's why you're not playing. And they don't understand these type of things. And then I'd have to tell them, yo, don't worry, because when I was first, second year, I was kind of doing the same thing you're doing, but nobody really told me anything, and just giving back to these little lessons to them. I feel like it's important all to have like leaders.
For sure. In some way, shape, or form, everyone needs, someone to just let them know they're on the right path, because as I'm trying to get too metaphorical or philosophical, but, we're always science and we're always, needing to learn. So it's great you're that person for so many people. And, right now, last but not least for this topic, I'm going to bring it to Omar. So I'm just wondering, I've been hooping with you, since Hoops Canada days, and seeing you blow up the way you have in this league, like, it's just amazing to see. So what do you want to, like, what comes to your mind when you think about Payoff?
For sure, it has to be going on the playoff run that we went on last year. From going from not winning a playoff game and my 3 years before that to going on a run, going to nationals and getting to the semifinals and nationals and OUA finalists. It was amazing, especially because we had the core guys of like older guys that are on the team for years, and we had a very special group. We're all close-knit guys. We're tight, and we weren't favorites either to go on the run we went on. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest payoff. And yeah, man, just it was a special time.
Like, yeah, even just like watching how your team progressed, y'all had some amazing games, and I think a lot of people who, tune into OUA could say, like, it just seemed like y'all really just played like a unit. It just seemed like every guy was ready to come and contribute some way. I even see some of your teammates in this chat. And where is he? Yeah. I'm trying to find the name. Zoom's mad confusing. But, it doesn't matter. You had some man that just come off the bench like Harden and just, just kill. And that seems like West, to be honest. Oh, man, shout out Ukasha. Backdoor.
Sure.
Okay. And
Wait, yo, Kwesi.
yeah?
Sorry, I know this question is for the panelists, but I'd love to ask you this question. I'd love for you to answer it, because I feel like, just me knowing you personally, like, you've gone through your own growth. So I'd love, please answer this question first.
All right. To be honest, if I could think to the payoff, wow, you really caught me off guard with that one. So you gave me a Western backdoor with that one. Well, honestly, when I think about my payoff, I honestly just think about, this moment here, like this opportunity now, because for me, I'm not sure how many people relate, but, I literally got recruited to play at MAC literally I took a fifth year. One guy happened to catch my game, like saw me drop 20 at the half and just said, oh, like come to MAC. And, I ended up committing to the school 2 minutes before the university deadline. I was pretty much a walk-on. Dave was there. I played 3 minutes, my whole first year. Not a game, not per game, still per the whole year, which is kind of funny. I really had to work my way through to just even, be under rotation. Luckily, PT came up, switched up my role. But when I fast forward to now with everything I learned, how I actually got to, be impactful on this team, I'm just happy that I could get somewhat enough of a platform to just start to help people realize and see that, it's bigger than basketball. Because when I think about, the Reach series and I think about Hooper's Talk, I feel like it's a summation of a lot of the experiences I've gone through and just the idea that I could use my experiences now to just help other people to start and look at themselves as more than an athlete. So I just say that, this right here is the payoff for me.
Thank you.
Got me there. I'm not even gonna lie, that was off the dome still. All right. I did have one last question for the panelists though, just before we turn it into a Q&A, to be honest, just for each of you. You all clearly have a lot of wisdom. You've seen a lot of success. So if you could say one or think of one or maybe even two things, you tell your first year self, whether it's a lesson, something to prepare you, because I see a couple of players here who are still in the middle of their career, still trying to figure themselves out, trying to figure out life, trying to figure out how they do on the court. So what are some, key takeaways that you have? I'll start with, I realize I didn't even beg. I'll start with, I'm thinking this so long. I'll start with Dave.
I guess the biggest thing for me is taking advantage of the resources that you're given in university. Like I think especially academically, I did not. I'm stubborn when it comes to that stuff. And you know what I mean? I think I can do it on my own. I think I'm good enough to get this grade that I need to do. And I didn't take advantage of the resources for most of my time at MAC. And I think it's super important because the best students, most of those best students that you'll see in your classes that are getting 12s and the 11s and stuff, they're getting help from somewhere. They're going to a workshop or they're going to a tutor or they're doing something like that, and they're already naturally smart. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me is take advantage of all those resources that you're giving you. And then basketball-wise too, most schools will have a weight room that's open most of the day and a gym, at least one rim that'll be open for most of the day. So take full advantage of that. It's 5 years or 4 years, however long you stay in university, but it flies by and you can easily get caught not doing the work that you should be doing, both academically and athletically. So that's a big thing that I wish I told my first year self, especially when it came to school, is take advantage of those resources.
There's a lot of resources out there. You could literally even learn how to use Photoshop at school.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. All right, and now I'll pass it over to Kadre.
Yeah, I was thinking hard about that. 100% take care of, invest in your resources. You got so many resources at your schools. That's a huge thing. That's one, looking back in my first year, academically, I kind of struggled. And I wish, just going back, there was tutors accessible, there was things available that I didn't use, just because my first year you don't kind of know, and you're trying to navigate the system and trying to figure out. But be bold, be bold in what you need, because at the end of the day, most of us are students here, and we're paying our tuition dollars, so we have the ability to go out and ask for what we need, and don't be afraid to. So that's one thing I would definitely tell first year me. And then I think the other thing is just in terms of basketball, I think I could use this in this context, but be bold again in the sense of you can go out, and why can't you be the number one guy going into your first year? If you put in the work, if you put in the time and the effort, and you work with the coaches, you work with your teammates, and you put yourself in the position to be, you know, the number one guy, or, you know, get your team to the nationals. Like, don't come in and set a gap for yourself. You know, don't set a bar. Go in and say, I'm going to aim for the highest thing possible, and go out and try to go do it, because it doesn't hurt. If you fall short of that, it's still pretty amazing. So I think looking back, I would say, like, don't have no limits on yourself. You can do anything.
That's amazing. Sky's the limit for real. As long as you like see that, that's when you have the chance to achieve that. So that's definitely facts. You know, right now I'll transition over to Kemel.
Just on the court, I just tell myself to stick true to your identity. Like, we all know what type of players you are. Like, if you're a hustle player, that's who you are. Just stick to that and own it, you know, own that role, and you'll be just fine in the end. And then off the court, just school-wise, like Dave said, just using your resources. And one thing for me is planning. Like, it was only till I got to Laurier that I became like a B-, B+ student, just from organizing my schedule, my syllabus, and just school is not really that hard if you really plan everything out.
I hear that, especially in terms of owning your identity, because especially when I think about our league, you know, and everyone's just trying to get minutes, you're going from, in some cases, being the guy or girl at, like, you know, your old school, and trying to adjust into a role. You know, you really got to think about, what do I do? Why should the coach, you know, put me in for XYZ amount of minutes, you know, and that's a big factor for real. And just last but not least, again, you know, Omar, Mr. No Conscience, Mr. Let It Fly from 40.
Man, you guys touched on a lot of like very important things also, but for me, and it relates to on the court and off the court, I would say like build good habits from early on. Like just like, you know, like schedule yourself, you know, like don't just have time just to like do what you want to do, like do the things that you don't want to do early on, so you can kind of chill late at night. Like, you know what I'm saying, like we practice a lot in the evening at Western, so like don't leave your schoolwork for after that. You know, like get up early, you know, instead of doing your work late. And then on the court, just, yeah, man, just like the things that you don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like go to the weight room, lift more instead of, you know, going to the gym playing runs all the time, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. So just build good habits early on and don't get caught up. That's what I would give the first year me.
That's a lot of facts, because it's easy to get caught up, because even when I think about, you know, this hooping, it's really easy sometimes to, well, not easy, it's just the way life goes. Sometimes it's really hard to stay that journey and stay that course. So if you could, you know, I know some things are out of control, but if you could really find ways to build your habits that set you on that trajectory, you know, that's one thing you can really hone in on to have your best chance at success.
All right, Quad, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, no, of course.
Because I think this whole thing is a perfect example of it, but don't underestimate the impact that you guys can have on your communities. I think that was one thing that I didn't do a good job of. I had plenty of opportunities to do volunteer work, and you know what I mean? We have a thing at MAC called the MAC Athletes Care Program, and I did it a couple times, and it was absolutely amazing, but I would always make an excuse not to go or whatever. I had to wake up too early, or you know what I mean? I had to study, but even when I'd go home, I wouldn't study. But like this whole Reach Series thing is a perfect example of the impact that you have on the community. And you're given these crazy opportunities as a student athlete, and you're given a platform, and you're given a spotlight, and take full advantage of that.
Again, thanks for sharing and everything. And I could just tell that one was from the heart, because, you know, you're just really reflecting and just seeing, you know, a lot of the impact you can make. And a lot of people sometimes, like, everyone's touched on it in some way or shape, but, you know, basketball at the end of the day is just a really big platform. And the question is, you know, what are we going to use it for? Because when you look at varsity sports, you know, you could really see it as, you know, this program is, you know, using you to accomplish this goal. But at the end of the day, when you think about your time there, you know, you're going to make family, you're going to make community, but what can you do to, you know, take some good away for yourself? And, you know, I think you all reflected that message in, you know, different but very great ways. And to be honest, that is the panel portion. I just really want to take the time to thank all the panelists, all the moderators that helped me, everyone who attended, everyone who promoted. I just want to say this would not be possible without you. For me, the Reach series, like, Dave touched on, is just a platform at the end of the day, whether it's my group workshops, whether it's my one-on-one mentorship, but it's just a space I create to help people, really see the worth in themselves, because I feel like even the panelists and moderators and, people who put up today could take a step to realizing, I'm more than an athlete. And that's just something, if you could take one thing away, I just really want all of you to know from the bottom of my heart. Right now, just for the sake of time and everything, we're going to the discussion portion now, but it's like optional, so if you want to like leave and everything, that's cool. It's just a fact that I'm trying to create a safe space for those who want to speak. It's going to be a room based on how you checked off your boxes. There'll be a room for coaches, then there'll be a room for, people who have played varsity, like basketball. Then there'll be a room for people who, just indicated hoopers. And if you don't want to stay, it's all good, but I'm going to create that space. But before that, I just wanted to open the floor till about, 7:40. Like if anyone had any questions for the panelists or moderators, this is a good time to just really speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something.
Yeah, of course, by all means.
I want to say thank you to Kwesi for putting together this event. You don't really see too many people going out of their way to do this stuff these days, especially looking out for everyone, especially in times of such uncertainty. Like, it's really nice to see that someone's actually going out of their way. And like, you guys obviously don't see it, but behind the scenes, he's put in a lot of work. He's busting his ass, man. He's doing a lot. So thank you, Kwesi. Just wanted to put that out there. Thanks for putting it together, man.
Appreciate that. If I could create a space like this, I'll do what I need to do. End of the day, we all have our hardships. So as long as we can express and relate together, like I'm all for whatever work I need to do. But I appreciate the love from everyone I see in the comments. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, now's the time. Okay, I have a question though for the panelists and anyone who wants to answer though. Like for anyone who's hoops, like, in the league, what's your like least favorite gym to play on? Start with Omar this time.
Oh man, it has to be Laurentian, man. I don't know what it is about your gym. I don't know if it's the floors, the way the rims, the lighting. I don't know what it is, but definitely don't like playing there and didn't really have good games there either.
Kill me. Yeah, man. And then I said Laurentian. Yeah. I don't know why y'all got those yellow lights. I feel like they might give Kadre superpowers, but for the rest of them. Oh, kill me. Laurentian Lake Cat. Okay, I see the response. Then does anyone else want to answer?
It might have to be Lake Cat, to be honest. Lake Cat is crazy hostile. Like, not for me personally, is your teammates you have to worry about, man. Sometimes someone might clock out of the game. Like I like a hostile crowd, I feed into it, but sometimes they might get a bad.
Say some mean things, you don't hear it in the game, but you're in the hotel and you're just like,
oh man.
Okay, that's so amazing. Well done. Making this happen. That's so inspiring. That's a lot of inspiring individuals here, for real. All right. Anyone else want to share?
No, go ahead. I don't know, man. I might start yelling out every single gym. There's a lot of problems with a lot of gyms in the OUA. Since you're hosting, I gotta talk about Mac first. You guys got 9-foot rims over there. Everybody can dunk. That's a problem. That's a problem. And then we got Western over there. Western, we're playing in an auditorium. I don't know what's going on. That's not basketball. And then we got Algoma. Algoma, I hear a lot. I hear Algoma a lot. So if you keep asking me these questions, I'm gonna say every gym.
Every gym. To be honest, the Mac gyms, we got some springs there, and it's well needed, because end of the day, we're a school that just loves giving confidence and instilling that, in our basketball community. So we can let man's windmill when they have no reason to windmill. You know what I mean? By all means. All right.
Yeah, Mac, career nights at Mac. You come to Mac, it's your only the one road game of the year. That's your best chance to have a 40 piece. You got to take advantage of that when you get to Mac. But I know I gotta say Laurentian too, man. That place is, I don't know what it is. Like Omar, I don't know what exact aspect of playing in that place is. Like it feels small, but I know it's not. The rims feel weird. I don't know. I know they're probably fine. And then you got some extremely rowdy people behind our bench yelling some stuff. And it's fun, but that's probably, yeah, I gotta say that. I never had a good game in Laurentian. My first year I played for I think 25 seconds and I got pulled out. Didn't play for the rest of the game. So I gotta say Laurentian too.
Yeah, maybe it's a defense though. Why you guys talking about the gym? Maybe it's a defense.
It's the crowd. The crowd is undefeated. I can't even lie to you.
A lot of man like KJ's here. That Kim Joshua, that was legendary. Still, Sorry.
What you talking about, bro? What's up? What's up? What you talking about? Like bugging out, bro. Talking about Ken Josh. See my gubby out there like that.
Yo, KJ, it's in the chat, man. It's already in the chat. Your government's already in the chat.
I need to relax, yo. I need to relax. Just chill.
Don't kill me, but okay. To be honest, I set the event to go till 8. For the discussion portion for people who want to stay, this is my first time creating breakout rooms, so I may need 2 minutes. But right now you're gonna transition to a room with varsity hoopers, and there'll be a room with coaches, and then there'll be the third room with like the hoopers. So I will split that up right now. So if anyone wants to, I remember Kemel does some R&B, so if you wanna sing some tracks as I do that.
There's no shorties here, man. Relax.
Okay, let me just. Okay, I'm just assigning people right now. Okay.